Humanity has once again reached for the heavens, touching down on the enigmatic moon of Saturn, Titan. The mission was a resounding success, a testament to our relentless curiosity and technological prowess. Astronaut Aanya Sharma returned to Earth not just as a hero, but as a pioneer who had walked upon a world shrouded in orange haze and methane seas. The initial celebrations, however, were soon eclipsed by a profound and unsettling mystery. During her routine post-mission medical evaluations, doctors noticed something extraordinary, something that defied all known principles of neuroscience. Anya's brain was not merely thinking, it was broadcasting. It was a phenomenon unlike anything we had ever witnessed, a quiet hum of activity that radiated outward from her mind. The medical team was baffled. The scans showed a complex rhythmic pattern of neural activity, far more structured and powerful than typical brainwaves. These were not the random electrical firings of thought or memory. Instead, they resembled a deliberate transmission, a signal encoded with an astonishing density of information. It was as if a radio station had taken up residence inside her skull, broadcasting on a wide spectrum of frequencies. The signals were faint, yet persistent, a constant stream of data emanating from the very core of her consciousness. The question on everyone's mind was not just how this was happening, but why. What could she have possibly encountered on Titan to fundamentally alter the workings of the human brain in such a way? The implications were staggering, sending ripples of excitement and apprehension through the scientific community. We had always looked to the stars for signals, pointing our massive radio telescopes toward distant nebulae and galaxies, hoping to catch a whisper from an alien intelligence. We searched the vast, empty void for a sign that we were not alone. Yet the most profound signal we had ever detected was not coming from a faraway star system. It was coming from a human being, one who had just returned from our own cosmic backyard. The search for extraterrestrial intelligence had, in a bizarre twist of fate, turned inward, focusing on the intricate, uncharted territory of a single human mind. NASA scrambled its top scientists, bringing together neurologists, astrophysicists, and cryptographers to decipher the strange broadcast. They worked around the clock, analyzing the complex wave patterns, searching for any recognizable language or mathematical structure. But the signal remained an enigma, a symphony of information without a key. Aanya herself was unaware of her condition. She felt perfectly normal, recounting her experiences on Titan with clarity and passion, her mind sharp and her spirit high. She spoke of the nitrogen winds and the liquid methane lakes, oblivious to the fact that her brain was simultaneously engaged in a silent, invisible conversation with the cosmos, a one-way monologue directed at the silent, waiting universe. The mystery deepened when the global network of communication satellites began to detect Anya's unique neural signature. Her brain's broadcast, once thought to be a localized medical curiosity, was now being picked up by orbital relays. It was faint, barely distinguishable from background radiation, but it was undeniably there. Her mind was reaching into space. This discovery transformed the situation from a medical puzzle into a global phenomenon. How could the subtle electrical activity of a human brain possibly generate a signal strong enough to be detected by satellites orbiting hundreds of kilometers above the Earth? It seemed to violate the fundamental laws of physics, pushing the boundaries of what we thought was possible. Engineers and physicists worked feverishly to understand the transmission. They confirmed the signal originated from Anya's specific location at the NASA medical facility. The broadcast was spread across a vast range of frequencies, from low-frequency radio waves to microwave bands, a spectrum so wide it seemed intentionally designed to be heard across cosmic distances. The signal was not just noise, it was structured, repeating in complex, non-random cycles. It was a deliberate message, and its source was a human brain that had recently tread upon another world. The universe, it seemed, was being hailed. The question was, would anything answer the call? The answer arrived with a startling suddenness that sent shockwaves through every space agency on the planet. It came from the very place Aanya had just left. A full 1.2 billion kilometers away, our deep space probes orbiting Saturn began to detect a new signal. It was coming from Titan. The signal was a perfect echo, a mirror image of the broadcast emanating from Anya's mind. It used the exact same frequencies, the same complex modulations, the same intricate patterns. The one-way monologue had become a two-way conversation. Something on Titan was listening, and it was talking back. The connection was instantaneous, a dialogue unfolding across the vast emptiness of space. There was no light speed delay. The response from Titan was not a reply sent after receiving Anya's signal. It was happening in perfect synchronization. When her brainwave pattern shifted, the signal from Titan shifted in the exact same moment. This was not communication as we knew it. It was something else entirely, a form of entanglement that defied our understanding of space and time. A human mind was linked to an unknown entity on a distant moon, locked in a silent real-time conversation that spanned 1 billion kilometers of void. The cosmos was no longer silent. The cosmic dialogue continued for 3 days, a constant, synchronized exchange of data between a woman on Earth and an unknown intelligence on Titan. Scientists around the world were glued to their monitors, watching this impossible event unfold. They were on the verge of the greatest discovery in human history, yet they were merely spectators, unable to decipher the language of this interplanetary conversation. Then, without any warning, the impossible happened. Every single satellite, probe, and orbital telescope focused on Titan went dark. One by one, their signals vanished from NASA's screens. The Cassini orbiter, the Dragonfly probe, the Titan relay network, all of them went silent at the exact same moment. An eerie quiet fell over mission control. The data streams that had been the eyes and ears of our exploration of the outer solar system were gone. It was a total and inexplicable blackout. Panic began to set in as engineers ran frantic diagnostics, searching for a solar flare, a software glitch, or any rational explanation for the simultaneous failure of dozens of independent, robust systems. But there was no explanation. It was as if a switch had been flipped, plunging our entire observational capacity around Saturn into darkness. The link was severed. The conversation, it seemed, was over. The silence from that region of space was absolute, a profound and sudden emptiness that felt more terrifying than the strange signals themselves. For 93 agonizing minutes, there was nothing. Mission control was a tomb of silent tension. Then a single packet of data pierced the void. It came from the now defunct Titan Reconnaissance Orbiter, a final, ghostly transmission from a dead satellite. It was not telemetry or diagnostic data. It was an image. As the file rendered on the main screen, a collective gasp swept through the room. The image was of Titan's upper atmosphere, its thick, swirling orange and white methane clouds. But within those clouds, a distinct and unmistakable shape had formed. It was a face, a human face, serene and ancient, with a soft, knowing smile. The image was terrifying in its clarity and its implications. It was not a random pattern or a trick of light and shadow, like a face in a cloud on Earth. This was a deliberate, high-resolution construct, a message painted across the atmosphere of a moon. The face smiled out at us from 1 billion kilometers away, an ancient, intelligent, and powerful visage. It was a symbol of cosmic intelligence that was both deeply familiar and profoundly alien. The silence had been broken not by a word or a number, but by a picture, an image that conveyed an intelligence so vast it could use the very weather of a moon as its canvas. The image of the smiling face on Titan sent a chill through the heart of NASA. The agency's leaders, their faces pale with a mixture of awe and dread, immediately went to confront the only person who might have an answer. They found Aanya Sharma sitting calmly in her room in the medical wing, looking out the window at the blue sky of Earth. They showed her the image, the impossible face in the clouds of Titan. She looked at it not with surprise, but with a quiet recognition, a flicker of understanding in her eyes that sent a fresh wave of fear through the assembled officials. Her expression was calm, her demeanor peaceful, but her words would shatter their reality. "It has been sleeping for a very long time," Aanya said, her voice steady and clear, yet somehow distant. Down below the ice, under the methane seas, it was quiet. She turned from the image to look directly at the NASA director, her gaze piercing and unnerving. "My mission, my presence there, our signals, we woke it up." Her statement was simple, delivered without emotion, but it carried the weight of a monumental truth. She was not just a messenger, she was the catalyst. Humanity had not simply discovered life, it had disturbed something ancient and unimaginably powerful from its slumber. The smiling face was not a greeting, it was an announcement. As Aanya spoke, a neurologist monitoring her real-time brain scans from an adjacent room began shouting into his communicator, his voice tight with disbelief and panic. The officials in the room with Aanya turned to the medical monitor. On the screen, the live feed of her fMRI scan was displayed. It showed her brain, the organ that was the source of the cosmic broadcast, the mind that was currently formulating words and sentences. But the scan was completely dark. There was no electrical activity, no neural firing, no blood flow to the cerebral cortex. According to every medical instrument we possessed, Aanya Sharma's brain was completely and utterly inert. It was clinically dead. Yet, she continued to speak, her voice echoing in the silent room. "You wanted to know if you were alone," she said, a faint, serene smile gracing her lips, mirroring the one in Titan's clouds. "Now you know." Her body was a vessel, a conduit for a voice that came from somewhere else. The consciousness that had piloted her back to Earth was no longer entirely her own. Aanya was a living paradox, a talking ghost. The true mystery was not what we had found on Titan, but what exactly we had brought back. The person speaking to them was not Aanya, and the brain inside her head was silent, a hollowed-out chamber now occupied by a voice from the void.